Tonight, as Idaho police await extradition from Pennsylvania, they are releasing very few details about their investigation, but police are confident that the perpetrator is in custody. So how did they zero in on Bryan Kohberger? Here now with analysis, Fox News contributor and retired LAPD detective Mark Fuhrman and Fox News contributor and retired D.C. police detective Ted Williams. Ted, let's start with you. You've seen the big news of the day. Give us your top line analysis of what's going on.
Well, you know, Jason, I got to tell you, I'm jubilated that they have been able to locate a suspect in this case. I believe that with forensics, as well as the public tips, as well as the latching on to that automobile and possibly DNA found at that scene, that led to the arrest of this gentleman, Kohberger. I have to believe that law enforcement, while they haven't given the public much, they have a great deal of evidence that they are working with and from. And I think that vehicle, that white vehicle that was confiscated in Stanton, Ohio, I stand to be corrected, Pennsylvania, that white vehicle has a wealth of evidence, and I'm sure they are processing that white vehicle, as well as the other places that this guy stayed. Wherever he stayed was a crime scene.
Yeah, Mark, it was December 7th that police put out a picture of the vehicle that was supposedly taken outside of a gas station at about 3:45 in the morning. That's obviously one of the clues here. But what else do you, as a former law enforcement officer, what are the other elements that have to come together to culminate in this arrest?
Well, before they released a photo, they're going to work the clue as far as they can take the lead, and hopefully they can identify it so the suspect doesn't get an indication that they're onto him. I think at this point they've got DNA inside the residence, close to and in contact with the victims, that can show that that DNA is passed or that DNA is transferred from one victim to victim 4. I think that's absolute. To coordinate 3 states, a federal agency, 2 state police agencies, a federal FBI SWAT warrant, no knock, at 3 in the morning to coordinate all that, they're dead bang sure. And I think they've been on to him for about a week. I think this is something that DNA might not have been as straightforward as we'd like to think. I think that they probably used, just hypothetically, if the father was in the military and they went to DOD, CODIS type of DNA, his Y chromosome will be consistent. So they could at least eliminate. We have a guy with a white Elantra that goes to Wazoo, WSU, and now we have somebody that's father was in the military, and it's consistent with the owner of this Elantra. I think their attitude changed a week ago. The PIO, Aaron Schnell, said we're getting a clearer picture of the suspect and what happened at the crime scene. And Chief Fry has done a few interviews in the last week, 3 or 4, and he's been very relaxed, and he's been very confident, and he keeps hammering on the white Elantra. I think they didn't want the suspect to rabbit, and I think that they've had eyes on this guy in Pennsylvania for probably 3 or 4 days before they served the warrant, getting everybody together, everything signed, buttoned up, and ready to go.
Real quickly, only got about 20 seconds each for you. What are we to make that there is no, evidently, the murder weapon itself? Ted.
Well, I'll start first.
Well, I can tell you, as
they have evidence of the murder weapon on the bodies, and somebody has to buy a murder weapon sometime, even if it's 3 years ago. They either buy it online, use a debit card, credit card, pay cash, go to an in-person facility, or buy it online. The absence of the knife is almost more powerful than having the knife itself.
Interesting. Ted, your thoughts, real quick.
I wholeheartedly agree. What I want to see now is this guy going to waive expedition back to Idaho? And also, one of the things I'm very much interested in seeing is the affidavit that has been sealed for this guy's arrest. There's going to be hopefully a great deal of information that we can use to try to find out what happened here and who, in fact, was the target, as law enforcement has said.
Mark Fuhrman, Ted Williams, thank you so much for joining us on Hannity.
Hey, Sean Hannity here. Hey, click here to subscribe to Fox News YouTube page and catch our hottest interviews and most compelling analysis. You will not get it anywhere else.